He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered on his behalf.
So do you believe President Trump is an illegitimate president?
Based on what I just said, which I can't retract.
Jimmy Carter, look, he was a nice man. He was a terrible president. He's like the forgotten president. And I understand why they say that. He was not a good president. Look at what happened with Iran. That was a disaster. What Iran did to him, they tied him up in knots.
A battle of the presidents as President Trump responds to some unexpected criticism from former President Jimmy Carter. Fox News contributor and host of the Dan Bongino podcast, Dan Bongino, is here. Dan, I want to ask you about that back and forth in a minute, but let's start with President Trump's trip and some of what he said via Twitter to Kim Jong Un.
Yeah.
All right. We've got his tweet. Okay, after some very important meetings, including my meeting with President Xi of China, I will be leaving Japan for South Korea with President Moon. While there, if Chairman Kim of North Korea sees this, I would meet him at the border, DMZ, just to shake his hand and say hello, ? Okay, is that, what is that, Dan?
Listen, the president relies on a little personal diplomacy in these cases. And for all of these foreign policy establishment elites, Judge, who, let's be candid, for decades now, through 3 generations of the Kim evil dynasty, have absolutely failed to make any progress with North Korea whatsoever, I always ask them, well, what's your idea? If the president can develop some personal relationship with this guy, listen, Judge, you know the president. I've met the man before. I'm not claiming we're personal friends, but I assure you, he's well aware of what Kim is capable of. This is not, for all the media elitists who paint President Trump as being naive, you've read this completely wrong, as you always do, by the way. He is entirely aware of what Kim is capable of. He's trying to develop some personal pathway here so we can potentially make some progress against a country that would threaten a nuclear annihilation in a minute if Kim gets his underwear in a wad.
His whitey-tighties or whatever it is. Okay, but you know what I find a good thing? The good thing is, I mean, it's better than saber rattling. I mean, think about it. I mean, the president is engaging in normal kind of, social media, and the president is a lot wiser and looks to beyond every chess move. But what I think is...
Yeah, but Judge, he's capable of that too, though. I mean, the president, he's been perfectly capable as well of telling Kim, listen, my button's bigger than yours. Remember that tweet?
Rocket
so the president's not exactly predictable here either. That's right. And that's a good thing. We've tried a predictable approach. Concessions, kiss the Kim dynasty's butt a little bit, get some consent. It hasn't worked.
Well,
so
President
Trump's unpredictability is a strategic asset. It's not a detriment.
And it's not really unpredictable in his chess game, in his head. It's all good stuff in the end. And, he would be the first sitting president to ever step foot in North Korea. But in any event, let's move on to Jimmy Carter. Did that guy lose his marbles or what?
Yeah, this is pretty disgraceful. Having been a former Secret Service agent, knowing most of these former presidents, they're all pretty nice. I mean, you could disagree with their politics. But this kind of stuff, to engage in grotesque conspiracy theories that the Russians helped Trump win the election, I mean, a now debunked, entirely discredited conspiracy theory promoted, frankly, by media lunatics for a former president whose post-presidency, he's done some decent things, he's done some also awful things, but from him to engage in this kind of nonsense, I tell you, really reeks of triaging unpresidential moments in modern American history. This has to be up there. I mean, this is really awful to give credence to fairy tales. This is nonsense. Judge, this has already been debunked repeatedly, multiple times, over and over, even by Trump haters like Bob Mueller, and you have Jimmy Carter talking about it. It's just making him look candidly ridiculous, and it's kind of sad.
Well, it is very sad, especially given, the president was referencing his history with Iran. I mean, those Iranian hostages who were taken in the Jimmy Carter administration, Ronald Reagan comes in and they all come marching home, and it's the same with President Trump. I mean, he's able to get hostages out of these countries. And, you know, Jimmy Carter, I mean, yeah, I just find it absolutely incredible that a man who was the president of the United States would trash another sitting president, call him illegitimate. It's like...
To do it now, though, Judge, to do it now, after this, it's already been entirely, completely, 100% discredited. I mean, what do you get out of it? It's just completely full. I think even the Trump-hating media is embarrassed by this, you know?